All right, everyone. So we're going to be reacting to this video from a channel called Kawaki. Now, I've never reacted to this channel before. I've never even seen one of their videos before, but this one was requested of me, called "The Problem with Kawaki's Philosophy, a Boruto Analysis." Now, it's interesting because, with the recent events of the manga, by the time you guys see this video, the latest chapter of the Boruto manga will have already been released, Boruto chapter 79. So it's interesting that, we're watching and reacting to this video now, considering the events of the manga. I'm not going to say what it is here, but I'm hoping that you guys will have already read the chapter so you guys know what it is I'm referring to. And when it comes to Kawaki's philosophy, a lot of people have been discussing it ever since he revealed what it actually is to Naruto in chapter 77, I think, if I remember correctly. And yeah, a lot of people were wondering whether excuse me, whether there's any truth to it or whether there's problems with it. And initially myself, I was planning to actually put out a video talking about Kawaki's goals and whether or not they're flawed. And I didn't put out the video because ultimately I wasn't really happy with how it turned out, and I thought that, well, maybe I'll just try again later, and I might still do that. So let me know if you're interested to know my thoughts on Kawaki's philosophy and whether or not it's inherently flawed, or what I just personally think of it. But for now, let's just go ahead and watch this video. Now, before we do, guys, as always, I will leave a link to the original video in the description, as well as a link to the channel, so you can head on over there, subscribe, and go make sure to watch the original video instead of just watching like my or anyone else's reaction to it, to help support the channel creator. And also, if you have other videos you want me to watch and react to and give my thoughts on, just let me know about them in the comment section down below. And of course, as always, tell me your thoughts on what we discuss here in this video. And if you want to support the channel, consider also clicking the like button, sharing this video out there, hit the subscribe button if you're new, click the bell icon to be notified whenever a new video goes out, and also consider becoming a channel member by just clicking on the join button that is right next to the subscribe button. So let's go ahead and watch this video and see what the problem with Kawaki's philosophy is according to Kawaki.
Kawaki is wrong. See, I've been thinking about Kawaki's entire philosophy ever since he sealed Naruto in chapter 77. And the more I think about it and the more Kawaki speaks, the less it makes sense. The reason why this is a big problem is because Kawaki appears to be the main antagonist of Boruto's story. At least that's what's depicted in the timeskip preview we saw back in episode 1.
Which we still don't know whether that's actually the case or not, because as it was revealed in the latest chapter, whatever we thought might be the case might not actually genuinely be the case. Like, this is something that Kishimoto does love to do when it comes to his stories. Like, he'll always lead you to thinking that one thing is going to happen and then immediately revealing that no, it's completely different than what you originally thought. So we still don't know whether Kawaki really is the ultimate antagonist of this series. We'll see. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, when it comes to the Naruto story, we all thought that Madara was the main villain, and then it turned out to be Kaguya, which is a plot twist that a lot of people still to this day are not a fan of.
His main motive or drive is of the utmost importance to the success of Boruto's story, because a hero is only as good as his villain. And of course, the villain in this context would be the antagonist, which is Kawaki. Now, to understand why his philosophy does...
Also, sorry, just real quick, I forgot to say this, but I don't know if they're okay with reactions or not. So if by some chance you find this video, if you want me to take down the video because you're not okay with reactions, just leave a comment saying that, hey, I'm not really okay with reactions. And if that's the case, listen, completely understand. You got absolutely no problem with taking down the video. If that's the case, just let me know and I will, of course, get rid of the video.
doesn't make sense, we need to go back to the specific words uttered by Kawaki himself. So moments before sailing Naruto, Kawaki explained that the world they live in is full of crap and that generally good people like him are the ones who die first, so long as gigantic pieces of crap like the Otsutsuki are running amok. Naruto then replied saying that it's the job of the ninja to dispose of such bastards, but Kawaki disagreed and said that ninja are simply those who die earlier. That's the extent of it. He further went on to say that he knows this now after gaining the power of the Otsutsuki. Whether a ninja or not, you have no choice except to be destroyed. So his resolve is to destroy all Otsutsuki, every last one, using their own power against them. Now we need to understand that despite the words being used here, this doesn't reveal anything new about Kawaki and his motives, because Kawaki has always hated the Otsutsuki and has always aimed to get rid of them and the karma as well. The main goal of this conversation isn't to give Kawaki a new purpose, it's more so tailored to justify Kawaki deciding to add Boruto to the list of things he needs to get rid of. They try to do this by first leaning into Kawaki's obsession with protecting Naruto, outright calling it creepy. Now Kawaki's goal of protecting Naruto from Boruto does make perfect sense given the fact that Momoshiki specifically targeted Naruto back in the fight versus Code. And even though Kawaki somewhat moved on from the matter, he always remained cautious of Boruto, especially after seeing Momoshiki standing beside him with a menacing look on his face. So what I'm trying to say is that Kawaki isn't totally out of bounds when it comes to his analysis of the situation. However, when it comes to his stance on the concept of ninja, this is where it all falls apart. Kawaki claims that ninja are simply those who die first. That's the extent of it. He came to this conclusion after gaining the power of the Otsutsuki, which what this really means is that Kawaki is saying that ninja are nothing compared to the Otsutsuki when it comes to power. Everyone will perish against the Otsutsuki. The title of the ninja or shinobi just means you get the honor of dying first.
Well, that's actually really interesting because, you know, to some extent, he's not really wrong. I mean, most people who go up against an Otsutsuki are going to die, but to say that, you know, to say that if you are a shinobi and you go up against an Otsutsuki, that the only choice is to die is technically not true, because look at Naruto, look at Sasuke, look at all the shinobi who, well, the shinobi who went up against Momoshiki, I was about to say Kaguya, but technically they didn't go up against Kaguya. The only ones who went up against Kaguya were Team 7 and Obito. And technically those, you know, technically Naruto and Sasuke and even Kakashi to an extent were enhanced by like an Otsutsuki level power. I mean, Naruto and Sasuke obviously got their power from Hagoromo, and Kakashi got a slight power boost when he got Obito's chakra, which were enhanced by Six Paths chakra. And the only one technically who didn't get enhanced by it was Sakura. Like, Sakura's the only one who was able to have power that was strong enough to damage Kaguya, that she achieved all on her own, which I think is something that a lot of people kind of sleep on. Like, that's actually pretty damn impressive when you think about it. Like, she wasn't enhanced by, you know, alien genetics, whether it's, you know, Uchiha blood or Uzumaki blood. She's the only one who, by all accounts, or is completely ordinary, and yet she's still powered up to the extent where she can damage Kaguya. I mean, think about it. That's actually pretty damn impressive. So to say that going up against an Otsutsuki, a shinobi's only choice is to die, is technically incorrect, which I'm guessing is probably what he's going to point out in this video. So yeah, again, it's interesting because, you know, it shows you again like Kawaki's completely narrow view of everything. You know, he is only seeing things from one perspective and is completely ignoring the rest, and that's why a lot of people are comparing him to Sasuke at the end of the Naruto series when he was going up against Naruto. Now, technically, it's not really the same because Sasuke did also have a lot of information from, you know, his travels around the world at the time, and he came to the conclusion that the system that, you know, the world currently has is inherently flawed because it's that same system that led to a lot of these things happening, and the only solution is to get rid of the system and build a new one. Well, the flaw with that is, just like how you disagreed with the current system, there are going to be people out there who disagree with the system that you put in place. And even Naruto brings that up to him, where he says that, there's no guarantee that people are just going to go along with it. And of course, Sasuke's response was, well, I don't really care whether people want to go along with it or not. It's the only right solution, and this is the one that needs to go away. And he has ways of enforcing it on people if necessary, which, if you think about it, doesn't really make him really all that different from Madara or Kaguya, where they basically tried to force their power onto other people, even if they want, whether they want it or not. In fact, I'm pretty sure there are probably going to be a lot of people who actually agree with Sasuke and said that, yeah, let's get rid of this current system. We don't really like it. Just get rid of it. Build a new one. But of course, there are going to be people who are either just going to go along with it because they don't want to go up against him, because they know what he's capable of. But then there are also going to be people who don't really care about that. They're still going to go against him because they don't like the system that's currently in place. And yeah, and that's why Naruto tried to instead perfect the system that's currently existing and make it to where we don't really have to fight each other and kill each other and live in a world where people are dying at such an early age, which was also Hashirama's goal from the beginning. Well, him and Madara, until Madara eventually changed his mind. And what's funny about that is, even to this day, they haven't really perfected it, because we still see shinobi going on missions. We still see them dying at such a young age. So it's not perfect, even under Naruto's rule as the Hokage. So yeah, anyway, that was a kind of a long tangent, but let's go ahead and continue the video.
This is Kawaki's theory. This is the philosophy Kawaki uses to justify his current actions and the pain and suffering he will cause in the future, thus his infamous line about the age of shinobi being over. However, there's one major problem with this theory, and that is that it's somewhat false and naive at best. Let's put it into perspective. For one, every Otsutsuki that has ever had the misfortune of ending up in this sector of the universe has been vanquished. Kaguya, Momoshiki, Kinshiki, Urashiki, Ishiki, and even possibly the two missing Otsutsukis. The Otsutsuki always fails against the shinobi united. That's a simple fact. So this notion of the shinobi just being destined to die earlier and that's the extent of it is just objectively false. Now, of course, some would argue that the shinobi used the power
and what's funny about I'll let him continue
of the Otsutsuki to defeat the Otsutsuki. And to that I say, yes, the shinobi should use the power of the Otsutsuki to beat the Otsutsuki. In fact, this is a part of Kawaki's plan as stated by Kawaki himself.
And that's what's interesting, is that all the Otsutsuki that hold on, let me bring out the image. Yeah, this right here is that all the from here to here, all these Otsutsuki who went up against the shinobi of Earth, they all ended up losing, because it falls into one of the messages that Kishimoto put into his story, which is that there's only so much that a person can do on their own. It's only when they are working together with other people that they can accomplish a lot more. And the Otsutsuki, it's kind of interesting. They prefer working alone while at the same time working with partners. Momoshiki had Kinshiki and Urashiki to an extent, and Kaguya had Ishiki, and then there's the other two that we still don't know, and we don't even know whether they're going to play a part in the future of the story. I'm hoping that they do. I really hope they just don't leave that plot thread completely unresolved. I really hope they do actually do something with that. But even though they go to planets in pairs, at the end of the day, when you remember that only one of the Otsutsuki really gets the power of the divine tree, or the power of the chakra fruit from the divine tree. With Ishiki and Kaguya, it was Ishiki. With Momoshiki and Kinshiki, it was Momoshiki. We don't know what the hell's going on with Urashiki. So yeah, one person ends up sacrificing themselves to the 10 tails to cultivate the divine tree, or to grow the divine tree and cultivate a chakra fruit, and then the one that wasn't devoured by the 10 tails gets to eat the chakra fruit, and the one that was devoured by the 10 tails is brought back through karma. So if you think about it, even when they quote work to all right, sorry about that, guys. Just had to go take care of something real quick. Now, where was I? Right, I was talking about the Otsutsuki and the whole working together thing. Well, working together in a way, because even when they work together, it's still only in the service of one person, because one person only gets the benefits of the chakra fruit, at least as far as we know. Like, for all we know, they could still reveal some information in the future about the Otsutsuki and how they actually work, which I kind of hope that they do, because so far, I gotta be honest, like, they're not really all that interesting, at least to me. But yeah, and also he brought up the fact that the shinobi used the Otsutsuki powers to defeat the Otsutsuki, which is true, and the only reason why they were able to do that is because of the Otsutsuki. It's because the Otsutsuki came to Earth that the shinobi even have the power to be able to fight against them in the first place. It's only because of Otsutsuki that, or it's only because of one Otsutsuki in particular, that Naruto and Sasuke had the power to seal away Kaguya. And if it wasn't for Hagoromo, of course, you know, Hagoromo and Hamura working together to seal away Kaguya in the first place, and then Hagoromo using his creation of all things ability to create the tailed beast, we wouldn't have Kurama, and Naruto wouldn't have become the nine-tailed Jinchuriki, and then he wouldn't have had the power to be able to go up against beings like Kaguya, Momoshiki, Kinshiki, and then later on using Baryon mode against Ishiki. And if it wasn't for Hagoromo, of course, we wouldn't have the Uchiha, and then we wouldn't have Sasuke eventually getting the Rinnegan from him, which helped in the battle against Kaguya and even a little bit against Ishiki. You know, not that much, which I'm still a little pissed off at, but that's neither here nor there. But anyway, yeah, let's go back to where it was in the video.
Yes, the shinobi should use the power of the Otsutsuki to beat the Otsutsuki. In fact, this is a part of Kawaki's plan, as stated by Kawaki himself. But let's look at Kawaki's statement at a technical level. Technically, Kawaki is indeed correct. If someone in Boruto is going to die to an Otsutsuki, it will likely be a shinobi first, for the simple reason of the shinobi being the army of the world at large. Not everyone in the world of Naruto has the ability to use jutsus. You have regular day-to-day humans who don't possess the power to defend themselves against certain threats, and that's where the shinobi comes in. Similar to our world, where we have the police force and the army to protect us from domestic or foreign attacks, the shinobi is there to do the same thing, only to a greater scale. So just like our fallen soldiers on the front lines, there will also be fallen shinobis on the front lines as well. That will never change. And this, of course, brings us to the Age of Shinobi line uttered by Kawaki, which is frequently justified by Minato stating that perhaps as long as there's a shinobi system in this world, there can be no peace. Now, the issue with using this statement to justify Kawaki's philosophy is that Kawaki himself doesn't see the shinobi system as what's causing the problems in the shinobi world. He sees them as being too weak to solve those problems, whether it be them not having the power to defeat an actual Otsutsuki, which is false, or them not having the will to do what's necessary to protect their loved ones, which of course means getting rid of Boruto. So Kawaki's
which is also kind of false, like the idea of shinobi not having what it takes to essentially, you know, defend their loved ones is also false, because we've seen examples of shinobi in the past doing what needs to be done in order to defend the peace. Because look at people like Itachi, look at people like Hashirama, like they did whatever was needed in order to defend either the village or the world. Like Hashirama didn't want to kill Madara, but he believed it was necessary because Madara was threatening not just you know, Konoha, but he was also threatening the world, and it was necessary to get rid of him. And then later on with Itachi didn't want to kill his clan, he didn't want to kill his parents. He did it because it was necessary. You know, whether you agree with it or not, it was necessary, because if the Uchiha clan coup went through, that rhymed. But if the Uchiha clan coup d'etat actually happened, then like Hitachi said, it would have left the world, or it would have left Konoha vulnerable, because that civil war would have severely lowered Konoha's military power, which would have left it again vulnerable to attacks from other villages. And that, of course, would mean that more and more people would die, and it would possibly lead to another war, which is kind of ironic that another war still ended up happening. Technically not same as the first, second, or third Great Shinobi War. It was technically the entire shinobi world working together to take down the Akatsuki, to take down one enemy. So technically not, you know, the same. But yeah, I mean, we've seen examples of shinobi in the past doing what's necessary in order to do what needs to be done. So like Kawaki's philosophy is inherently false. It's just that they believe, thanks to Naruto, that killing isn't the only way, that there has to be another way. That's what Naruto was trying to essentially teach Sasuke. That's what Naruto's trying to teach the whole world, that there has to be another way other than just let's kill them. Because killing has been the cause of all these problems. It's because you keep killing your, people that you believe are going to be a problem instead of trying to find another solution. It's what leads to these problems that you've had in the first place. Like forcing Itachi to massacre the entire Uchiha clan is what caused Sasuke to want to get revenge against Itachi, and then when the truth got revealed, he wanted to get revenge against the Leaf Village. And if Naruto wasn't there, he would have actually accomplished his goal. And how many people have essentially gone on these like crusades like Sasuke because someone that they cared about was killed, because someone thought that that person was a problem, and so they just decided to get rid of it. Like that's the main issue that Naruto was trying to essentially erase from the world, is that this need to constantly feel like you need to kill a person before they become a problem, or even if they do become a problem, instead of trying to find another way. Like that's what causes all this. And even Naruto tried to convince the Raikage not to kill Sasuke, because Sasuke still has people out there who do care about him, and if they kill Sasuke, then they're just going to make those people angry, and they're going to try to get revenge on them. And then if they accomplish it, if they get the revenge, then the people that the Raikage, or the people who cared about the Raikage, will try to get revenge on them, and it's just going to be a complete endless cycle, which again was one of the main themes of Naruto, the whole cycle of hatred thing, and that's what Naruto was trying to stop. So that's essentially the problem. But like that in and of itself was the problem, but Kawaki's belief that shinobi don't have what it takes to do what needs to be done, that's what's flawed about it. Like he doesn't know. He's essentially operating from a place of ignorance. He doesn't really know the true history of the shinobi world. He doesn't know what people in the past have gone through just to get to where they are now, thinking that they don't have what it takes. He's just looking at the world the way it is now because, well, that's the world he was born into. Just like how Boruto and his classmates can't help acting how they do, even though, granted, I still find it a little bit annoying. At the same time, you can't really help it because they haven't grown up in a world that had what Naruto and his classmates, what they had to go through with, constantly having to, be careful, like living in a world where even someone as young as, let's say, 10 years old could be killed. Like that's the world they were living in, and Boruto and his generation don't really know that. And Kawaki is part of that generation. That's why a lot of their philosophies are flawed. That's why Boruto, the way he thought about Naruto, was completely incorrect, because he doesn't know what Naruto went through. That's why Sasuke tried to tell him that you shouldn't look at who Naruto is now, you need to look at who he was before, like in order to learn how Naruto got to where he is now. And that's been kind of a recurring theme that you see in Boruto, at least that I've noticed, is that you've got people from this generation operating from a place of ignorance because they don't know how bad the world can actually be. And they don't know what a lot of people older than them actually went through to get to what they have now, which is kind of funny because you actually see that currently in the world with a lot of people, especially people, who are a lot younger. They constantly complain about shit and go, oh, like why is my life so bad because I don't have the job that I wanted, or my job isn't paying me what I wanted, or like my job like has this person who's a complete dick to me, and he's like, why is it like, why is my life so awful? And you've got people who are a lot older who grew up during a worse time, I guess you could say, looking at them like, dude, you have no idea how easy you have it. Like I look around and all the things that you guys have now, especially with technology and what it can do, you guys have no idea just how good you actually have it. You don't know what the world was like before you were born. And in a way they could, because obviously that's why we have history books. That's why we have history teachers to tell us these things, people who actually study history and impart that knowledge onto other people. Like that's why it's important, because it's important to know where the world was in order for us to appreciate what we have now. And that's something that you do see a little bit in Boruto. So yeah, just let's go ahead and continue.
Outlook on the shinobi system is not even remotely the same as Minato's, since the threat to the shinobi world is the Otsutsuki, not the shinobi themselves. This is why I believe his outlook is naive. It's naive to think that shinobi won't perish in the wake of a strong Otsutsuki, as would be the same if they fought against an Otsutsuki level human or cyborg. It doesn't matter who's doing the deed, bad people exist in all forms. There will be loss of life regardless of the opponent's DNA. It's purely based on the strength of the individual and also the nature of that individual. Whether shinobi exists in this world or not, there will always be people in need of protection, and there will always be individuals who rise to the occasion. The existence of shinobi objectively is a net positive on the world, as without them the world would not exist. The world would have succumbed to the might of the Otsutsuki a long time ago. Now yes, there are bad individuals who use their power for the wrong reason, but that will always be the case whether you're in a powered society or a non-powered society. So Kawaki's goal shouldn't be to end the age of shinobi, should be to build them up, to take on their common enemy, which is the Otsutsuki. Kawaki himself is an outsider. He grew up in an area absent of the shinobi.
Like that's actually, like when you think about it, that's actually really interesting, which is why is that not the why is that not
to take on their common enemy,
the approach that Kawaki decided to take, which is that look at what happened to him, right? Like he had ninja tech implanted into him and it made him this strong. Amado gave him an artificial karma mark that allowed him to access the powers of Ishiki. You know, not just the hacks abilities of Sukune Kona and Daikokuten, but also just the raw power of Ishiki. And you would think that Kawaki would go, okay, so I was experimented on, and even though the experimentation wasn't perfect, because as Amado said, he needs to do yearly maintenance on Kawaki in order to ensure that everything is running smoothly. But at the same time, if it was possible to take someone like me who was completely ordinary and make me into someone who is this strong, maybe it's possible to do it to other people. Maybe it's possible to take regular shinobi, give them some ninja tech, and enhance them to the point where they can defend themselves. Maybe not to the extent of an Otsutsuki, but at the very least to the point where they can put up a fight and truly defend themselves, so that if one person isn't enough, multiple people all enhanced with this new technology could put up a fight against an Otsutsuki. And you don't even need to be an Uchiha or an Uzumaki in order to be able to do that, or have some kind of special bloodline ability. Even if you're just a regular shinobi enhanced with ninja tech, you can accomplish great things. Like, why was that not the approach that Kawaki took? It's because, like I said, Kawaki's still young, he's still naive, he doesn't think things through. Truly, just like how a lot of people don't really think things through. Hell, there are a lot of adults who don't properly think through things before they decide to, you know, take action. So yeah, I mean, Kawaki, like, it's right there, and maybe someone could point it out to him, but right now he's so focused on accomplishing his goal that he's willing to do whatever it takes, even seal away Naruto and take him away from his children. Do something that awful, all for the sake of keeping him safe, because that's all he really cares about at this point. He doesn't care about anything else. The whole world could burn for all he cares. As long as Naruto is safe, that's all he cares about.
which is the Otsutsuki. Kawaki himself is an outsider. He grew up in an area absent of the shinobi element. He has no knowledge on the shinobi world or its politics, so he can't even argue from that perspective, and neither has Kawaki. The truth is that Kawaki is naive and uninformed. His motivation for becoming the antagonist is that he sees the shinobi as beneath the Otsutsuki, and by extension being beneath him, since he has the power of the Otsutsuki. He's nothing more than a baby fascist imposing his will upon the people he deems as powerless to stop him. It's truly sad that we went through all that development with him bonding with Team 7, showing that he hasn't dried up, only for him to revert back to a cold killing machine that would end his brother and his teammates' life with no remorse. Now, as I said earlier, him being cautious of Momoshiki and wanting to do something about Boruto is completely justified. But the way in which he goes about it and the way in which he chooses to justify it is not just naive, but also inaccurate. Now, does this make Kawaki a bad character? Absolutely not. This just means that he's less compelling. The truth is that the best and most memorable villains or antagonists are the ones you low-key agree with, or the ones you are truly able to empathize with on a deeper level. Kawaki is just a selfish, naive child with an obsession and the power to spread his misery. However, who knows? Maybe Kawaki will develop as a character later on in the story.
Well, okay, here's the thing. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, because I've always had the belief that Kawaki is without a doubt the best character in the Boruto series, like without a doubt. I mean, I haven't made my my criticisms of the Boruto series a secret. Like, if you've been following me for a while, you know that overall I am not a fan of the Boruto story. Like, I'm not a fan of where they took it, in all honesty. But I will always give credit to the creation of Kawaki. Kawaki is without a doubt one of the best additions to the Naruto series. Like, here's the thing, I don't have a problem with anyone who has this, who has this viewpoint of Kawaki, and especially with the events of the recent chapter, it might just perpetuate that notion even more. But it's just, yeah, I don't. I mean, look, let's hear what he said about villains again, just real quick.
Character? Absolutely not. This just means that he's less compelling. The truth is that the best and most memorable villains or antagonists are the ones you low-key agree with, or the ones you are truly able to empathize with on a deeper level.
Okay, so that statement right there, technically he's not wrong about, villains that you on some level agree with or a little bit sympathize with. Technically he's not wrong. Those do make some of the best villains, but that's not the only good villain, in my opinion. In my opinion, what makes a good villain is, well, for one thing, they have to be a good foil for the antagonist, and they have to be an effective villain, as in they have to be they have to actually be threatening. Like, you can't make them a villain and not make them a threat to the antagonist or anyone who is, let's say, associated with the antagonist, or associated with the protagonist. So, like, for example, that's why I think a lot of people think that Code is not a good villain, because so far he has accomplished jack shit. Like, he has accomplished nothing in the entire time we've seen him. In fact, every time we've seen him, all he's done is get his ass kicked. In fact, that's the only thing we've seen from Code ever since he, like, genuinely got pushed to the forefront of being an antagonist. Hell, even when he got his powers unlocked, he still ended up getting his ass kicked. Like, that's the first thing that happens to him when he gets his true power, is he gets his ass kicked. So yeah, you can understand why people think that Code is kind of a shitty villain. Like, you can understand that. So for me, what makes a good villain, what makes a good antagonist, is someone who is actually effective, and someone who actually does have an effect on the main story. So for me, that's kind of what makes a good villain, and also everything that he mentioned. Like, those also can make a good villain, but it's not the only things that can make a great villain, or not even, in my opinion, like the best villains. In my opinion, the best villains are the ones who are a great foil for the protagonist, like I said, and actually are effective.
Kawaki is just a selfish, naive child with an obsession and the power to spread his misery. However, who knows? Maybe Kawaki will develop as a character later on in the story. We'll see what happens. All in all, that's really just my thoughts on the situation. I really hoped that they kind of like fleshed it out better, that his justification for doing whatever he does would make sense. I have no problem with Kawaki like getting rid of Sasuke, even getting rid of more characters, but
well, I mean, what he does actually makes sense. Again, like, his motivations are very clear. Like, he wants to protect Naruto no matter what. That's why he is willing to do a lot of crazy things, even killing the Hokage's own son, even killing Naruto's child, if it means protecting Naruto, because Boruto is still technically a threat to the world and Naruto, because Momoshiki can still take over Boruto and use him to do whatever needs to be done.
But his justification needs to be more concrete. I need like a pain level reasoning where I can understand totally why he's doing what he's doing. You get what I'm saying? So I know a lot of people will disagree with what I'm saying in this video. A lot of people will agree. We'll see what happens. But this is just my opinion based on what has been shown in the story so far. As I said, maybe Kawaki gets better, maybe he gets like S tier plus writing and we'll all agree with what he's doing and the reason why he's doing it. But I haven't seen that as yet, so until then, it really isn't it for me. With that being said, I posted a video on the return of Shibai a few days ago, so you guys can go check it out. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section if you did in fact miss that video. So until the next one, I'll see you guys soon. Peace out.
Okay, so I guess that's the end of the video. Yeah, so I mean, there you go. I feel like I've already said everything I needed to say, throughout the video. And also this video is getting close to being like a little bit longer than it kind of needs to be. But anyway, let me know your guys' thoughts as always. I mean, do you agree with what he said here? Do you disagree with it? I mean, there are a lot of things that he said that I do agree with. Like, for example, Kawaki not really having the whole picture. He's essentially operating in a way out of a place of ignorance, but because, as I said, he's still young. He grew up an outsider, like he said. He didn't grow up in the like the shinobi system, and he doesn't really know everything about shinobi history because he didn't really have anyone to teach him that. And because of that, he doesn't know that his whole ideal, his whole philosophy of shinobi going up against the Otsutsuki can only die and they can't survive, which is just completely incorrect, because he's literally talking to a shinobi who went up against an Otsutsuki and survived, multiple Otsutsukis and survived. So yeah, I mean, it's completely understandable why he would have this mindset, because like I said, he is young, he's a little naive, and hopefully when he does grow older, he has a little bit more perspective, he is able to see that he didn't really have the full picture and that maybe he was indeed wrong. Because and this is kind of why a lot of people really compare him to Sasuke in the Naruto series, because the same thing kind of happened to Sasuke. Like, Sasuke when he was young was really naive, he didn't really know anything, and then as he got older and as he started to travel the world and started to meet different people, and he kept constantly gaining new knowledge, he consistently kept learning new things from different people, and he was able to eventually come to the conclusion that he came to at the end of the Naruto series, which is that this system that currently exists needs to go away, because it's this system that ensures that there's never going to be any real peace between humanity, because this system that divides people into different villages is kind of what causes a lot of this division, weirdly enough. But obviously Naruto didn't really agree with that, and well, that's the world that we're living in now. And Kawaki doesn't really know any of these things. That's why he's got this really naive mindset, and again, why he's being compared to Sasuke, and why maybe when we see him during the time skip and maybe a little bit later at the end of the series, we'll see that he's a little bit more mature. He actually has a different perspective than what he did or what he currently does have right now. But anyway, guys, let me know, as I said, your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed this video, you know what to do: like, share, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and consider becoming a member by clicking on the join button next to the subscribe button. It'll go a long way in helping to support the channel, and you also get some perks that other people don't. And right now there's only one, but I am planning to include more membership tiers which will grant you more perks, if you're interested. Of course, it's completely optional. If you don't want to, that is completely understandable, but it is just a way to help support the channel. And as I said, if by some chance he's watching the video, if you want me to take the video down, just let me know in the comments, and I will of course get rid of the video if you are not interested in reactions. Anyway, with that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope I'll see you guys soon. Bye for now.